Every one of us carries a vision for our life, a version of ourselves that is stronger, wiser, and more fulfilled than we are today. We imagine achievements, relationships, freedom, and purpose. We dream of success, growth, and impact. And yet, for so many people, those dreams never materialize. We watch others move forward while we remain in the same place, frustrated, wondering why we are stuck. The truth is uncomfortable, but undeniable. What holds you back from everything you want is not the world, not your circumstances, and not other people. What holds you back is yourself. Not the potential you carry, not the strength you have, not the person capable of growth inside you, but the version of yourself that clings to comfort, doubts your abilities, and avoids the discomfort necessary for change. You are held back by your mind, by the habits, fears, and stories you repeat over and over, often without even realizing it. Every time you say, "I'll start tomorrow," every time you seek an easy way out, every time you allow fear or doubt to dictate your actions, you are building walls between yourself and what you truly desire. We all know that change requires action, yet we wait. We wait for motivation to strike, for courage to appear, for the perfect moment. But life does not wait for permission. Motivation is fleeting. Courage is built through action, not through wishing. The perfect moment is an illusion. If you wait, time passes, opportunities slip away, and your dreams remain dreams. You are held back not by lack of talent or intelligence, but by delay, indecision, and avoidance. Excuses are perhaps the most subtle and dangerous barriers. They convince you that limitations exist outside of you. I don't have time. I'm not ready. It's not my fault. Each excuse shifts responsibility away from you, creating the illusion that you are powerless. The moment you stop making excuses is the moment you reclaim power. Success is never a matter of avoiding obstacles. It is a matter of facing them with persistence, focus, and honesty. Fear is another barrier that silently blocks your path. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of the unknown. These fears are natural, but when they dominate your decisions, they become a cage. Fear tells you to retreat, to stay small, to settle for less than you are capable of. But the very presence of fear is a signal of growth. Where fear lives, opportunity waits. Where discomfort appears, transformation begins. You are held back only if you allow fear to guide your actions. Procrastination and indecision are equally insidious. Every moment you delay is a moment you reinforce the habit of inaction. Every time you choose comfort over challenge, you teach yourself to shrink instead of expand. Success is rarely about a single heroic effort. It is about the consistent, intentional choices you make day after day. Your life is the accumulation of those choices, and every delay or avoidance compounds into stagnation. Clarity is the antidote. When you know what you want, why you want it, and what is required to achieve it, the path becomes visible. When your purpose is clear, your decisions become simpler, your energy becomes focused, and your actions become powerful. The obstacles outside lose their weight because the obstacles inside are no longer neglected. You stop blaming, avoiding, or delaying. You begin to move forward with intention, and that movement generates momentum that transforms possibility into reality. Discipline and consistency amplify your efforts. Small, deliberate actions repeated over time build progress that overwhelms resistance. Courage, focus, and skill are not developed in moments of ease, but in moments of persistence when everything inside you wants to quit. When you take responsibility for your choices, embrace discomfort, and align your actions with your vision, the walls holding you back crumble. Ultimately, nothing outside can stop you as much as your own hesitation, fear, and lack of clarity. The barrier between you and the life you want is not circumstances, talent, or luck. It is the story you continue to tell yourself, the excuses you continue to make, and the fear you continue to obey. When you recognize that, when you take ownership, and when you act with intention, you move from being a passive observer of your life to being its architect. Your future is waiting on the other side of the choices you make today, and the moment you decide to step forward, everything begins to change. Clarity is power because it removes the fog that keeps us wandering in circles instead of moving in a straight, purposeful direction. When you know exactly what you want, why you want it, and what stands between you and that goal, life becomes less about guessing and more about acting with intention. Most people never reach their potential not because they lack talent, effort, or opportunities, but because they lack clarity. They don't know what they truly want, so they chase whatever is in front of them. They drift, they react. They try to spread their energy across too many paths, and as a result, they never gain momentum on any of them. Clarity acts like a lens. Without it, your energy is scattered. With it, your energy is concentrated, and concentrated energy becomes power. Think of a magnifying glass focusing sunlight. The light itself is always there, but when it's focused, it becomes powerful enough to ignite fire. Your mind works the same way. When it is scattered across doubts, distractions, and conflicting intentions, it becomes weak. But when it is sharply aligned with a specific purpose, it becomes unstoppable. Clarity gives you access to that level of inner strength. It gives direction to your discipline, purpose to your effort, and meaning to your sacrifices. Many people believe they are stuck because they lack motivation, but in reality, they are stuck because they lack a clear target. Motivation thrives when there is something compelling to move toward. When you know precisely what you want, you don't need inspiration every day. You don't waste time questioning yourself. You simply take the next step because the path is visible. Without clarity, even the smallest obstacles feel overwhelming. With clarity, even the largest challenges feel necessary. Clarity also helps you recognize what belongs in your life and what doesn't. When you are unclear, you say yes to everything because you fear missing out. You allow people, habits, and environments to drain your energy simply because you don't have a guiding principle to measure them against. But when your purpose is clear, your decisions become simple. Anything that supports your goal stays. Anything that pulls you away from it goes. There is no guilt, no hesitation, because you understand what you are choosing and why it matters. To gain clarity, you must be willing to sit with yourself without distraction. Most people avoid stillness because stillness forces them to confront the truth their actions often do not match their desires. But clarity is born in that honesty. It requires examining your fears, questioning your assumptions, and admitting where you have been holding yourself back. It requires asking not only what you want from life, but what life wants from you. Clarity demands that you take responsibility for the direction of your journey rather than allowing circumstances or other people to decide it for you. One of the most powerful aspects of clarity is that it simplifies your internal world. When your mind is clear, peace becomes easier. Anxiety decreases because you are no longer living in uncertainty about what matters. Decisions no longer drain you because you're not choosing randomly, you're choosing intentionally. Your energy no longer leaks through overthinking because you know what deserves your attention and what does not. A clear mind is not a noisy mind. It is calm, steady, and focused. Clarity also strengthens resilience. When you are clear about your purpose, setbacks do not break you, they shape you. Challenges become part of the process instead of threats to your identity. You are less likely to quit because you understand what you are walking toward. A person with clarity can endure far more than a person who is drifting because purpose makes struggle meaningful. It turns pain into growth. It turns failures into stepping stones. It transforms obstacles into teachers. To cultivate clarity, you must continuously refine your direction. Clarity is not a one-time achievement, it is a practice. As you evolve, your values shift, your desires deepen, and your vision expands. This means you must regularly reflect on where you are and where you want to go. Even a slight misalignment, if ignored, can eventually lead you far from your true path. But constant self-awareness keeps you aligned. It keeps your efforts meaningful and your journey authentic. Clarity is not about knowing every step ahead. It is about knowing the next step. When you commit to that step with full focus, the one after it becomes visible. Clarity grows as you move, much like a path illuminated only by the light you carry. The clearer your internal world becomes, the more powerful your external actions become. Clarity turns intention into direction and direction into transformation. Self-mastery precedes success because without the ability to guide your own mind, emotions, and behaviors, every goal becomes dependent on chance, mood, or circumstances. True success is not built on motivation alone, it is built on discipline, consistency, and the capacity to choose the long-term benefit over the short-term impulse. Self-mastery is the internal architecture that supports every external achievement. It is the process of training yourself to act with intention rather than habit, to respond rather than react, and to stay aligned with your purpose, even when discomfort, doubt, or distraction appears. When you lack self-mastery, your goals become fragile. A bad day can break your momentum. Criticism can shift your direction. Fear can make you retreat. The moment life applies pressure, your emotions take control, and your actions follow. But when you learn to master yourself, pressure does not steer you, it strengthens you. You become capable of choosing the action that aligns with your purpose, even when your feelings would prefer something easier. This is the difference between someone who hopes for success and someone who builds it. Self-mastery starts with awareness. You cannot control what you do not understand. Many people operate on autopilot, repeating the same behaviors, excuses, and patterns without ever questioning whether those patterns serve them. They react to emotions as if emotions are commands, not signals. They follow old habits even when those habits lead nowhere. But awareness interrupts that cycle. It allows you to see the gap between who you are being and who you want to become. It exposes the impulses, fears, and assumptions that quietly dictate your life. Through awareness, you reclaim choice. Once awareness is present, discipline becomes the tool for transformation. Discipline is often misunderstood as force or punishment, but in truth, discipline is honesty in action. It is doing what your future self will thank you for, even when your present self resists. Discipline means waking up when you said you would, showing up when no one is watching, and continuing when the initial excitement fades. Every act of discipline strengthens your identity. You begin to trust yourself. You begin to see that you are capable of doing difficult things. You begin to realize that success is not a matter of brilliance, but of consistency. Another element of self-mastery is emotional regulation. Emotions are powerful and necessary, but without regulation, they become the rulers of your decisions. Anger can sabotage relationships, fear can kill ambition, and doubt can prevent action. Mastery does not mean suppressing emotion, it means understanding it. You learn to observe an emotion without automatically obeying it. You learn to ask whether the emotion reflects truth or simply habit. You learn to let emotions pass through rather than letting them anchor in you. With emotional regulation, you gain the ability to act from clarity instead of chaos. Self-mastery also involves controlling your environment, because your environment influences your mind more than you might admit. The people you surround yourself with, the routines you follow, the digital noise you consume, and the spaces you inhabit all shape your discipline, your focus, and your energy. When you curate an environment that supports your goals, self-mastery becomes easier. When your environment is filled with distractions, negativity, or temptation, self-mastery becomes an uphill battle. Taking control of your surroundings is a form of taking control of yourself. Another essential aspect is mastering your thoughts. The mind generates endless narratives, many of which are shaped by past experiences, insecurities, or fears rather than reality. Without mastery, these thoughts dictate your self-belief and behavior. But when you learn to observe your thoughts, question them, and replace the unhelpful ones, your internal world shifts. You begin to choose empowering interpretations instead of destructive ones. You begin to see opportunity where you once saw limitation. Mastery of thought creates mastery of action. Self-mastery also means honoring your purpose. When you are guided by a clear sense of direction, it becomes easier to make decisions that align with your values. You stop wasting energy on meaningless pursuits. You stop comparing yourself to others. You stop chasing temporary highs. Purpose acts as a compass, and mastery ensures you follow that compass consistently. Without purpose, effort becomes scattered. With purpose, effort becomes efficient. Ultimately, self-mastery is the foundation of freedom. It frees you from old patterns, from fear-driven choices, from procrastination, from self-sabotage, and from the chaos of an undisciplined mind. When you master yourself, success becomes a natural outcome, rather than a distant dream. Resistance reveals the path, because the very things you hesitate to face are often the experiences designed to shape you into the person capable of achieving what you desire. Most people interpret resistance as a warning sign to stop, turn around, or retreat to comfort. But resistance is not a barrier, it is feedback. It tells you exactly where the next level of your growth is waiting. Everything meaningful you will pursue in life comes with some form of resistance. New skills challenge your mind. New habits challenge your identity. New goals challenge your comfort. And instead of avoiding these challenges, you must learn to recognize them as signals pointing toward the direction you need to move. When something feels difficult, your instinct is often to escape. The mind is wired to protect you from uncertainty, discomfort, and risk. This is why the tasks that would transform you are often the ones you procrastinate on. This is why the conversations that would bring clarity are the ones you avoid. This is why the decisions that would elevate your life are the ones you postpone. The resistance you feel is not a sign that you cannot do it. It is a sign that doing it will require you to grow, and growth is always accompanied by friction. Resistance also reveals the path because it exposes your internal limitations. When you attempt to learn something new and immediately feel frustrated, the frustration is showing you where your patience needs strengthening. When you try to break an old habit and feel the pull of comfort, this shows you where your discipline needs sharpening. When you take a bold step and fear arises, the fear is showing you where your courage must expand. Every form of resistance is a mirror. It reflects the exact qualities, skills, or mindset you must develop in order to move forward. If life presented only what was easy, you would never evolve. Ease does not build strength. Ease does not create resilience. Ease does not shape character. Resistance is what forces you to reach deeper, think differently, and outgrow the version of yourself that cannot yet hold the success you're seeking. People often imagine success as a smooth journey, but the reality is that the path is shaped by obstacles. Each obstacle teaches you something essential. Each difficulty refines your focus. Each challenge sharpens your ability to stay committed despite discomfort. Resistance reveals not just the path forward, but the person you must become to walk it. Another reason resistance reveals the path is because it identifies what truly matters to you. You do not feel resistance toward things that mean nothing. You feel it toward things that matter, because part of you fears failing at them. You fear risking your identity, your reputation, or your comfort. That fear creates resistance, but the very presence of that fear shows that the task is meaningful. If you felt nothing, it would not be a path worth walking. The presence of resistance validates the importance of your pursuit. Resistance also protects your growth by slowing you down. When things are difficult, you are forced to think, to practice, to repeat, and to refine. This prevents you from rushing into success unprepared. The muscles you build through overcoming resistance are the same muscles that will allow you to sustain success once you reach it. Without the struggle, you would not have the strength to hold the responsibility that your goals demand. When you learn to interpret resistance correctly, it becomes a compass rather than a cage. Instead of saying, "This is hard, so I should stop," you begin to say, "This is hard, so this is where I should lean in." You begin to welcome discomfort because you understand its purpose. You begin to trust that if something intimidates you, it likely carries the potential to transform you. You begin to walk toward the very things you once avoided. This shift in perspective changes everything. To use resistance as a guide, you must develop awareness. Notice where you hesitate, where you delay, where you make excuses. These moments are not random. They map out your growth edges. They show you the exact places where your old self resists the emergence of your new self. When you learn to treat resistance as information rather than intimidation, your relationship with challenge changes. You no longer seek the easier path, you seek the necessary one. And the necessary one always involves growth. Small daily practices create massive change because transformation is not the result of dramatic effort, but the outcome of consistent, repeated actions that compound over time. Most people overestimate what they can achieve in a short burst of motivation and underestimate what they can achieve through steady commitment. Grand goals often feel overwhelming, but when broken into small daily steps, they become attainable. These small actions shape your habits, your identity, and ultimately your destiny. Meaningful change is rarely sudden. It is usually the accumulation of tiny choices that gradually alter the course of your life. When you repeat a small practice every day, You reinforce a message to your mind, this is who I am becoming. Each repetition strengthens the neural pathways associated with that behavior, making it easier and more natural over time. With enough repetition, the behavior becomes automatic. It no longer requires willpower because it has become part of your identity. This is why small practices are powerful. They bypass the resistance that large, intimidating goals often trigger. They allow you to build momentum quietly and steadily until the results become undeniable. Small daily practices also create massive change because they generate consistency, and consistency is the engine of progress. A single workout does not transform your body, but daily movement does. One day of reading does not make you knowledgeable, but daily learning does. One act of discipline does not change your character, but practicing discipline every day rewires your mindset. The compounding effect of these actions turns ordinary habits into extraordinary shifts. The difference between someone who succeeds and someone who remains stuck often lies in their ability to repeat small actions long after the initial enthusiasm has faded. Another power of small daily practices is that they build confidence. Every time you complete a small task you promised yourself, you strengthen self-trust. You prove to yourself that you can follow through. This creates a foundation of confidence that carries into other areas of life. When you trust yourself, you take bolder actions, attempt more challenging tasks, and remain stable even when obstacles appear. Confidence is not built in a single moment. It is constructed through countless small victories that reinforce your belief in your own reliability. Small practices also generate awareness. When you commit to doing something every day, you begin to notice your patterns, your reactions, and the obstacles that typically derail you. This awareness becomes a tool for self-correction. You learn to catch yourself when you drift. You begin to recognize when old habits try to pull you back. You develop the ability to adjust rather than quit. This ongoing self-awareness is a critical component of long-term change because it keeps you consciously aligned with your goals. Another reason small practices lead to massive change is that they are sustainable. Big, dramatic efforts often lead to burnout. They rely heavily on motivation, which is inconsistent and unreliable. Small practices rely on discipline, which grows stronger with repetition. They require little energy to begin, making them easy to maintain even on difficult days. When you design your progress around small steps, you remove the excuse of not having enough time, energy, or motivation. You simply need commitment, not intensity. Small practices also create a ripple effect. A single positive habit often triggers improvements in other areas of your life. For example, a daily meditation practice may increase your emotional awareness, which improves your relationships. A daily exercise habit may boost your discipline, which helps you stay consistent at work. A daily learning practice may expand your mindset, which increases your creativity and decision-making power. One habit strengthens another, and the overall direction of your life begins to shift upward. When you repeat small practices, you learn the value of patience. You stop expecting instant results. You stop comparing your progress to others. You stop seeking shortcuts. Instead, you become focused on the process. You understand that every day is an opportunity to move slightly closer to your vision. This patience creates emotional stability, because you are no longer driven by the highs and lows of fluctuating motivation. You begin to appreciate progress in its purest form, steady, quiet, and lasting. Small daily practices create massive change, because they turn discipline into a lifestyle rather than a temporary effort. They reshape your identity from the inside out, allowing you to become the kind of person who naturally achieves the goals you once struggled to reach. Over time, the small actions you repeat accumulate into a powerful force that transforms not only what you do, but who you are becoming. Stillness is a tool, not a luxury, because it is one of the few states that allows you to see your life, your mind, and your choices with clarity rather than distortion. In a world that constantly demands movement, stimulation, and reaction, stillness becomes a form of strength. It is the pause that allows you to act with intention instead of impulse. It is the space in which your deeper understanding, creativity, and wisdom can surface. Many people treat stillness as something optional, something to indulge in only when time allows, but this mindset overlooks its true purpose. Stillness is not rest from the work, it is part of the work. When you remain constantly busy, your mind becomes crowded. Tasks, responsibilities, emotions, and distractions all compete for attention, and in the noise, your inner voice becomes difficult to hear. You may find yourself moving quickly, but without direction, reacting rather than choosing, and mistaking activity for progress. Stillness interrupts this cycle. It offers a reset. It clears the mental fog created by constant stimulation, allowing you to reconnect with what matters. Without stillness, even the best decisions can feel rushed and misaligned. With stillness, you gain the internal space needed to align your actions with your values. Stillness is a tool because it helps regulate your emotional landscape. When you create a moment of quiet, you give yourself the chance to observe your feelings rather than be controlled by them. Instead of immediately reacting to fear, stress, or frustration, you can sit with the emotion, understand it, and respond thoughtfully. This ability is essential for personal growth. Emotional reactions often come from conditioning, assumptions, or past experiences rather than present reality. Stillness allows you to separate emotion from truth, which leads to better decisions, improved relationships, and a stronger sense of stability. In stillness, you also access deeper levels of creativity and insight. Many breakthroughs do not happen when the mind is busy but when it is calm. Ideas emerge in the quiet moments, during reflection, while sitting peacefully, or in the space between thoughts. When your mind is overloaded, creative energy is blocked by noise and urgency. Stillness opens a channel for intuition. It helps you see patterns you missed, solutions you overlooked, and perspectives that were previously hidden. It gives the mind room to explore instead of forcing it to perform. Stillness is also a tool for self-awareness. When you stop distracting yourself, you begin to notice the subtle thoughts and beliefs that shape your behavior. You notice your fears, your habits, your tendencies to avoid certain tasks or pursue comfort over growth. This awareness is uncomfortable for many people, which is why they avoid stillness. They fear what they might discover in the quiet. But it is only through facing these truths that transformation becomes possible. Stillness brings the unconscious into consciousness, revealing what needs healing, strengthening, or letting go. Another reason stillness functions as a tool is its ability to conserve and restore energy. Constant activity drains your mental and emotional reserves, but stillness replenishes them. It resets the nervous system, allowing your body to shift out of stress mode. When you regularly practice stillness, you become more resilient because your energy is not constantly being depleted. You are better able to handle challenges, think clearly under pressure, and remain composed when life becomes chaotic. Stillness is not inactivity, it is preparation. It strengthens you for the moments when action is required. Stillness also sharpens your focus. When you train the mind to be still, you develop the ability to direct your attention intentionally, rather than letting it be pulled in every direction. In a world of constant digital noise, this skill is incredibly valuable. The ability to maintain focus is often what separates those who achieve their goals from those who only dream. Stillness trains the mind to settle, to resist distraction, and to return to the present moment. With this skill, your work becomes more efficient, your conversations become more meaningful, and your life becomes more grounded. Another powerful aspect of stillness is its ability to reveal your authentic desires. When you quiet the external influences, you can hear your own inner guidance more clearly. You stop chasing what others expect of you. You stop pursuing goals that do not align with the person you want to become. Stillness strips away the noise of comparison and competition, leaving only your true voice. From this place, your decisions become more intentional, your goals more meaningful, and your actions more aligned. Stillness is not something reserved for retreats, vacations, or rare quiet moments. It can be practiced in any environment through breath, awareness, presence, or simply pausing before you respond. A few minutes of intentional stillness each day can shift the entire quality of your life. It brings clarity to your mind, steadiness to your emotions, and strength to your decisions. It reconnects you with your purpose and anchors you in the present, making it one of the most effective tools for personal transformation. Your environment shapes your energy because every space you enter, every person you interact with, And every habit you allow around you affects your internal state far more than you often realize. Your surroundings constantly influence your mood, your thoughts, your focus, and even your sense of possibility. Whether you feel inspired or drained, motivated or distracted, empowered or limited is rarely random. It is deeply connected to the environment you have built or allowed into your life. Energy is not just an internal phenomenon. It is a reflection of the external forces you expose yourself to every day. The people around you are one of the strongest influences on your energy. Some individuals uplift you, challenge you to grow, and support your goals, while others drain you emotionally, impose negativity, or reinforce your limitations. When you consistently interact with people who complain, gossip, or discourage ambition, you unconsciously adopt their mindset. Your energy mirrors theirs. But when you surround yourself with people who are disciplined, focused, or driven, you naturally elevate your own standards. The energy of a room becomes the energy of the person who stays in it. This is why choosing your social environment is not just a preference, but a strategy for personal growth. Your physical environment has a powerful role as well. Cluttered spaces often create cluttered minds. A chaotic room can make you feel overwhelmed or restless without you understanding why. In contrast, a clean, organized, and intentional space supports clarity and calmness. Your surroundings silently communicate with your mind, signaling whether it's time to focus, relax, or create. Even small adjustments, a dedicated workspace, a tidy room, natural light, can shift your energy dramatically. Your physical space is the container in which your life unfolds, and when that container supports your goals, your energy rises naturally. The habits and routines within your environment shape your energy just as much as the objects and people. If your environment encourages distraction, constant notifications, television always on, easy access to unhealthy habits, you will find it harder to stay disciplined. If your environment encourages intentionality, books within reach, tools for productivity nearby, reminders of your goals visible, you create conditions for growth. Habits are easier to maintain when the environment supports them, and harder to break when the environment reinforces them. Your energy responds to cues, and those cues are built into your surroundings. Digital environments also shape your energy, often more subtly than physical ones. The content you consume online influences your emotional state and mindset. If you constantly expose yourself to negativity, comparison, fear-driven news, or unrealistic expectations, your energy becomes agitated or depleted. But if you curate your digital environment intentionally, following people who inspire growth, absorbing content that educates, limiting exposure to noise, you protect your mental and emotional energy. Your digital environment is part of your life, and treating it consciously is essential. Another way your environment shapes your energy is through the expectations embedded within it. Certain environments hold you to higher standards. For example, being in a gym makes you want to train harder. Being around disciplined individuals pushes you to be more consistent. Being in a space dedicated to learning encourages concentration. Your environment signals what kind of behavior is normal, and you subconsciously align with those norms. If you place yourself in environments that align with your desired identity, you begin to embody that identity more naturally. Nature itself is a powerful environmental force. Spending time in natural environments calms the nervous system, restores mental clarity, and reconnects you with a sense of presence. Even brief exposure to sunlight, fresh air, or greenery can shift your emotional state. Modern environments often overload the senses with artificial stimuli, but nature resets the system. This is why spending time outdoors is not just a leisure activity, but an energetic necessity for many people. Your environment also affects your belief in what is possible. When you are surrounded by people who think big, take risks, or pursue meaningful goals, your own ambition expands. When you remain in environments where everyone stays the same, avoids discomfort, or fears change, your energy contracts. Environments either stretch your potential or shrink it. They either encourage you to rise or convince you to settle. Ultimately, your environment is a reflection of the standards you accept. If you allow negativity, chaos, or distraction around you, your energy will reflect that. If you intentionally design your environment to support your growth, your energy will rise to meet those conditions. Your environment is not just where you live, it is what you become.